Here we are, episode 5 of The Send-Off. Special guest this week's the Beer Baron. We finally located him. He's come on. Chris Bannerman, who's the manager of the Illawarra District Rugby League. How are you, Chris?
Good, mate. How you going?
Good, thanks. You nervous?
No, not at all.
And, of course, Johnny Pett, the man that knows everything about the rugby league in the local area. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Wilco.
Big weekend?
Yeah, it's a pretty big weekend. I strolled out of this joint at about midnight on Saturday night, so
Not alone.
with the great Mitch Jennings and a few others in tow. So, yeah, it was a big weekend.
What about you, Chris? What did you get up to? What game?
Mate, I ended up at the Berg having a look at the games up there between Berkeley and Helensburgh. Some pretty good contests up there. And just a few quiet little drinks after that, mate. Much earlier to bed than Johnny Pett.
You didn't catch up with Johnny then?
No, I avoided him like the plague, actually.
Many do.
Just before we get into talking to Chris, I'd like to congratulate Joel Johnson and his wife Brogan on their little girl Maxwell, who was born on Friday, and that's why he missed Saturday's game. So all the best to them. Chris, let's have a chat.
You've been waiting for this chat
I
for a couple of weeks, haven't you?
yes.
This sounds like a grilling.
Or it's a stitch up.
Biggest issues in the local comp, no programs,
No, we have a program.
no
just-
printed programs.
It's in a different format.
Yep. What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that it's all about cost, really. It's the costs. We used to have a very good arrangement with the printer, whereby it was very affordable and we didn't have to levy clubs. And we're not about placing more levies on clubs. We're about easing
with
the
Jacko,
financial
was
burden.
it?
That changed once his company was absorbed into another organisation. The arrangements had to change. The costs blew out significantly, well over $20,000 a year to print programs for the whole season. I'd been keeping an eye on that sort of environment. Newcastle went down the path Canberra did first. They went away from a printed program and into an electronic program a couple of years ago. Newcastle followed suit. And it was inevitable we're going to do it one day. It's a new environment. I know there's an older generation of people who go to the football still like something printed, but the reality is the bit of paper that we were handing out, while it may have had some news and some photos, the teams were so inaccurate it was ridiculous. I mean, we had to get them in on a Wednesday morning. So, there was a significant number of changes in all grades between Wednesday and Saturday. Even now, we're in a digital environment. We're getting teams in on a Friday morning. I'm still flabbergasted at how many changes there are by the time we get on the field on Saturday. And we even get, the two centres, 3 and 4, go out in different jumpers. So, we've got to get that right, because if we're going to present anything that's meaningful to people as a program, that the people that are casual observers, we've got to get those things right, so that at least when they get on their iPhone, or I know the butchers are printing part of it off, at least those games at Gibson Park, what we give them has got to be reasonably accurate, just for our own credibility.
And it's good to see the Asterisks back with the local juniors. Me and Johnny spoke about this the other time.
I think so. It's and the club sustainability program that we've implemented, there's a player payments cap as one component. The other one was the player point system that we've had, but we've tightened up. And one of the aspects of that is that if the rule have a local junior they produce and another club wants to entice him over, he goes at 16 points, which is the same as a guy at the NRL. So it rewards clubs for producing their own, gives them a better opportunity of keeping them. And so if we all take that attitude, we're all going to be a lot better off. Every club will be if they can produce more of their own and retain them. And so clubs should be recognised. If they've got 5 or 6 local juniors in their first grade team, I think we should recognise that and celebrate it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's good. Live stream. We used to have 3 live stream games.
You know why he brings this up?
No, we didn't. We had
Fits in
2.
his Saturdays at the fire station.
Oh, right.
That's it.
No, look, there was a bit of an experiment last year that Bar TV did basically without charging us for a few things, because it was an opportunity came up, but we had to go into a live stream format for essentially all of the games. But this year we've elected to do just what's the match of the day. Their resources are very stretched down here now, because they're now doing, they started at Newcastle and we got on board with them. They're in Group 7, Canberra. Now they're in the Central Coast as well, and they're doing some stuff in Sydney in rugby league. But they do league, union, everything. So their resources are very stretched. So for every game that you want to do live stream, there's a different set of equipment that has to come with it, and sound equipment. So I've said to them, look, let's just concentrate on our match of the round. So the Fireys can get stuffed. They can do what they want back at the fire station. But it's all available.
Hope your house doesn't catch fire.
The live stream's on at 3 o'clock. You wait till 5, the next game comes on, and then it's like Super Saturday, mate. They come on one after the other.
It
You blokes
interferes with me NRL.
You blokes, I know you work around real football first, mate. Worry
We don't
about
watch
that
telly,
NRL later
but-
on, mate. This is the real rugby league.
Yeah, no, okay, so that's why we haven't got the programs, which is understandable in the live stream. And that I find the live stream since you brought it in, it's unreal. It's so good to be able to watch if you can't get there.
Yeah, it
Obviously,
is.
the games are better live, but
Yeah, and look at I know people in Newcastle had a bit of a different mindset about this. They went down the path of initially they did a live stream every Saturday and Sunday, and then when they went into finals, the clubs all went, "Welcome, stay, mate."
hey, the brothers,
Don't go.
Johnny,
I'm on.
They're just out for coffee. The clubs up there were very scared about doing it in finals, thought it would take away from their crowds, but I don't think they've ever proven that argument. I've seen no evidence that, and this year particularly, I think with the changes we made, there was a lot of interest in the competition, a lot of media interest. I did a number of interviews, and I think because of the perception that what we've done is going to even the playing field to some degree off field, I think it's regenerated a lot of interest in the competition. And virtually every game I've been to, I've seen what I think is a pretty impressive crowd.
Yeah.
So I've seen no evidence that a live stream takes many people away from a game. But I think if we focus on the match of the round and promote that as much as we can, and if that's the marquee match, like obviously Thirroul West was last week, but if the people who are casual observers or the people who've lived in Thirroul and moved away, or lived in Illawarra and followed rugby league and moved away, if they can stay engaged in our competition through the live stream, and it's good quality stuff because you've got a couple of gibbers on there that do a pretty fair job on the commentary, and it's a nicely produced piece.
Description.
Yeah, so I mean, what we're putting together now is pretty good, I think, for a bunch of lunatics here down in Wollongong. But it is good promotion of our competition, and it gives us opportunities through what we're producing and sending out live, where you do engage with a lot of people. We're able to get some sponsorship in to offset the cost. So the clubs do pay a levy, but we want to keep that down as much as possible. And we'd like to think we can get to the day where we reduce that even further, or maybe they don't even have to contribute towards it, because the more people engage with it, the more we can promote it, and the more sponsorship we get directly into that bucket, the less we have to go to the clubs for it.
it's definitely something that I like. It's a great initiative, really. Like, same with all your social media and stuff that you pump out there, and
I think that's gone to
updated
the next level,
scores and
social
Twitter.
media this year.
Yeah, well, it's funny. When I came into the job in 2014, the previous administration had the view that it was too hard to do. We didn't have the resources to do it. I thought, well, it's getting on Facebook. Most people do it personally. We had to start it. We had to get into that space. I'd been at Men of League as the executive officer there for a couple of years, and we totally revamped our strategy there to engage with a younger audience. And I've basically carried that on here. Now we're nearly at 6,000 followers, which is great. We're in this digital age, we're a bit of a saleable commodity now. If you've got 6,000 followers, you can go out there with that as an asset to a sponsor who wants to engage with you, because you can promote their products and services and their brand through your social media channels. And you've got a very engaged audience of around 6,000 people, plus there's an exponential growth and spread in that. So people start, when you talk about 5,000, 6,000 followers, people sit up and take notice. And that's a great thing to take to the table when you're talking to sponsors.
Definitely.
Talk about this, the program again. We'll backtrack here.
Oh, this is the sore point, isn't it? I can tell you.
Is there, I know you were saying about there's changes even up to the last minute on the Friday.
Yeah.
Is there something going down to the future where the Illawarra Rugby League bring out an app that's updated? Is there a big picture with an app where guys, instead of looking at an email each week, they've got an app like the NRL app or like the New South Wales Rugby League app where it is actually updated prior to the game?
We'd probably be only using something that's produced through the game. There is an NRL app at the moment, but it's more focused on coaching resource. It has draws and things like that on it. But I know Group 7 have gone down some path in terms of their teams aren't available like we do in a program format, an electronic program or digital program, but they just really have them available through an app. So that's probably a way of getting something a bit more accurate. But all it's got is you've got to delve into that app and then go and get it for the team. So again, I don't know that caters to the older generation, but it's probably a way to find out, at 10 to 3 when you're walking to Gibson Park,
Who's actually
you're probably going to get your 17 team or at least your 15. A lot of them might decide at 3 o'clock who's still healthy after Reggie's and who's going to sit on the bench. But we may be going down that path. There's a few things we've got to look at there, but the real concentration this year was the migration to a digital format and getting that right, which I think we've got that into a decent shape now. So we'll probably still produce a printed format for grand final day and for the big day we have down at Collegians, where we have second division women's grand finals and the preliminary final. So for all those people out there that love a bit of paper, make sure you turn up at those events.
They are a bit of a memento on them. Sort of
Well, yeah,
occasions,
people
aren't
do
they?
hang on. It's nice. You do see Snoz puts a few up on social media and a few other people, the referees, and you know.
He's got some history of this club. It's not
There's
tucked
Snoz.
away in his garage
If his
somewhere.
garage ever burnt down, I think half of Illawarra Rugby League's archives would go with it, wouldn't they?
Um,
Yeah, no, it's always interesting to see that stuff, and you know, find a few old names, you know, and you know, particularly at this environment, you see people's fathers and uncles, and it's a pretty tight community. Everyone knows each other, and sometimes people don't realise that, you know, old Uncle Jimmy's brothers, you know, played at the butchers and all that sort of stuff, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's interesting going back through the history when we were doing the 100-year stuff. We there we go. When we went back through the 100
Technology
year
will
stuff,
go, eh?
yeah, it's
All over it.
still happening. We're still going. We found there was heaps of stuff we found that I didn't know about.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just I've always been a bit of a fan of, you know, the history of the game. I read a lot of books, you know, on the formation of the game, all that sort of stuff. It's a fascinating reads, and there's one particular book I love. It's about the formation of the game in France. I love all that history, but even at a local level, you know, going back to when the game was born here and how certain clubs evolved, and you know, West weren't always West. They were Mount Kembla, they were Unanderra, they were also Mount Keir at one stage, and all those things I think are pretty fascinating. You know, the story about how, you know, these clubs where we've got to at the moment, and while some may be gone, there's at least they're, you know, if the history's there and everyone can refer back to it, they know, you know, how it evolved to the situation we are. Things have changed a lot, of course, in demographics and, you know, various other things around us which have influenced the shape and the format we're in at the moment. I think, you know, the merger that's going on may change all of that or create possibilities for that. But to be able to go back and look at all those things about, you know, Northern Suburbs when they were a powerhouse in the 50s, you know, a lot of people wouldn't understand that, but it's great to look back and see all of that.
It is. It is. Your thoughts on the comp at the moment, the strength of it, and clubs and whatever, and what do you think the future looks like for it?
The competition at the moment, I mean, I think there's always been, you know, to some extent the elephant in the room. I think that we've had to, and
With the salary cap,
through the player payments cap and
the points.
the club sustainability program with those two elements. Primarily, the player payments cap was the big one. And I have to commend all the clubs. Everyone's been really good. We did a lot of work with the clubs, 2 reviews, and then we asked them to give us tell us what they were spending. And, you know, they're all pretty good and told us what they were spending on their biggest expenditure items and what they were spending on players.
Would have been a big gap.
It was. And look, the reality is that's right. And I don't think it's any secret while we're under the even under the $150,000 cap, there'll be some clubs that'll spend at that, and there are others that won't get near that. But they'll be closer to the top end. That's the reality. We've closed the gap to some extent. In an ideal world, we push everyone up from the bottom, and everyone can aspire to be as wealthy and as good as they can be. But that's just not a reality at this level. So if we didn't change that, and I think every club knew that, I said to my board, why we wanted an 8th team back, whether that was Port Kembla or whether it was someone else to get it back to 8 teams, which I think is ideal for us, we were more likely to lose one and get back to 6 teams, which wasn't healthy. And if we were forced back in that situation, I think there would have been a question mark again over our divisional status in CRL. And if we didn't want to be in a position where we were told that you had to go here, you had to go here, we'll provide football, but you know, you're going over the mountain, you're going up there. If we lose it, we'll never rebuild the house. We've got to maintain Illawarra as a strength in rugby league and a stronghold. And if they're going to be changes, we want to be at the epicentre of them and have people coming in here. It might be 1 team, might be 2 teams, might be 3 teams. But we want Illawarra Rugby League to stay strong and be a competition that everyone recognises as strong, and clubs from out of the area maybe aspire to play here. Like we've already had a couple of approaches,
Is there a bit of red tape with that?
Look, it's more. It's not so much red tape. There are rules around the movement of teams between CRL competitions. Basically, you take the Port Kembla situation at the moment. Everyone has to be in agreement.
Yeah, right.
Under the Port Kembla's loan agreement that was approved a couple of years ago to Group 7, the terms that were that they had to play first grade down there. Now, they might have disputed that, but Illawarra said, no, you've fallen over. If you're playing lower grades, you're coming back to Illawarra. That's the terms of the agreement. And without all parties being in agreement, and Illawarra saying no, that's not happening, then they had to come back to Illawarra.
They were always a good club back when
Oh.
I was playing, and that it was
Yeah.
really Port. It was hard, you know. Like first grade, one year they were. I think they came third a couple of times. They had Simons and Hilly was playing. Clint Hill. They had some tough teams.
I think you go back well beyond our years. They were a powerhouse out there when
Yep.
the Steelworks was pumping, and Port Kembla was the centre of Wollongong. And
Well, they've won the most first grade premierships. haven't they?
yeah. I mean, I've always said they're like the South Sydney of Illawarra. We don't want to lose them. Whatever. It's up to the people that are there at the moment running that club to determine what their future is and what level it is at and where they aspire to be. Now, things change. Norths realised some time ago that they wouldn't remain as a first division club, and they've settled into life as a second division club, but they're alive and kicking, and they have good years and not so good years, but there's a lot of history there, and the Bulldog jumper remains on the field, and that's what we want.
Is this with Appen coming into the comp? Is this a stepping stone for them to
look,
hopefully go to first grade, or are they comfortable?
Because that is a question.
I think Appen are probably at the moment very comfortable being a second division club.
Yep.
They did play first grade up there a couple of years ago. I'm not sure
Why
why that unravelled,
Yep.
but the situation was they were playing second grade up there last year because of a gap in their competition. Another club came back in last year, which took that gap away, and that would have created an imbalance in their first grade and reserve grade comps. Group 6 clubs said, we don't want that, you're going back to third grade. But they had some rules about the qualifications of players going back to third grade that didn't allow them to take all their own players back.
Okay.
And they said, well, this is really disadvantaging us. So Group 6, I think, did the right thing. They said, well, look, we're happy for you to go and talk to Illawarra if you want to play in their second division comp, and they allow you. We welcome them with open arms. They're right on our doorstep. So it's been a very easy transition, I think, for everyone to have them in the comp, and they've been, they're a good bunch of people. It's been an enjoyable experience so far for everyone. I think Appen have enjoyed it. And probably, I think they'd admit it, maybe it's a little bit of a step up in standard from what they've been used to in the third grade or second division competition up there. But, we're open to all of these sort of things. We had an approach from a first division club up that way about 18 months ago. And we had to, it's not really our place to interfere with it. We had to send them back through Group 6 and the CRL. We can't get involved in those sort of politics and be seen to influencing that stuff as much as we'd welcome them for the right reasons. And I've been talking to another club that's expressed some interest from another neighbouring area. I tend to think, I know they've sort of probably keeping their powder a bit dry with the merger that talks that are going on at the moment, but in recent days, that looks like it's inching closer. I think there's a real possibility that there might be an announcement that that may happen earlier than it was planned in 2020. It could be
Is that a merger between two?
New South Wales and CRL.
Okay, yeah.
That probably changes the landscape a little bit because we're not dealing with two bodies, we're dealing with one. And I think New South Wales, as they are at the moment, they have a real mentality that, aside from geography, they have a philosophy that competitions can also be based on aspiration and ability to compete at certain levels, finances, that sort of stuff. Whereas CRL, because they cover big regional areas, have always had the mentality that competition should be based on essentially geography. We're sort of in the middle of two worlds, so maybe we get the best of both. I don't know, but our plan since I've been here is always to make sure when the wall falls down, we're the first ones over the top of the rubble to pick up the pieces and say, this is what we've got, and make ourselves a proposition that people want to be involved with when those changes are possible, because I'm sure there are people and competitions around that, there's people might think that it's not as good as they could be or strong as they want to be, and they've got aspirations to be somewhere else. So we want to be front of mind for them when those opportunities arise.
So if there was more teams to come back into the comp, would a resurrection of an old team from here, like a uni or trying to get Port back up, or are you guys open to bringing teams from outside into here to make them?
I think with the merger, I think it definitely, I think the option, and we've had we had Wentworthville down here in the 70s. They played down here for a couple of years because they were considered too strong for the Parramatta district. They stayed here for about 3 years, and then New South Wales Rugby League made them go back up, but it was very successful. We've always been open to that because the precedent's there. And with the merger of CRL and New South Wales, I think that becomes an easier proposition than it once may have been. Resurrecting another club, be it Wollongong, University, Port Kembla, who are still, of course, alive, which is great. It comes down to, there's been someone approach me recently about reviving one of those sort of clubs, but they've really got to come forward with a business plan that works. We can't do it at the expense of other teams. It's not, there's no way
in and out.
you don't want Woonona Bulli. There's no value in putting Woonona Bulli into the first grade competition if it's the demise of Corrimal and it affects the rule. It just doesn't. Let's keep what we got and keep it strong. And our 8th team needs to add value to the competition and bring a new element to it. But it's not, the Berkeley Port Kembla thing's a funny thing. Whenever historically that I've seen, they're both there. Someone goes under eventually.
Yeah.
So strategically, I'm not entirely sure
Geographically
how that.
work.
They're very tight. I mean, it's a kilometre and a half between the two grounds or something. It's very hard for them to both survive long term as a top level club. Now, how that gets addressed, I don't know, and that's a matter really for those clubs. Berkeley have done all the right things in the last few years in rebuilding, coming back to first grade. They've got good backing through the East Group now, and they've made some real headway in their junior club. They've got to be commended for that. They've built up their numbers. They're now in a situation where they've got 16s, 15s, 14s, maybe even back to 13s. They haven't been in that situation for a long time. They're going to have 18s next year, that's what they need.
Yeah.
Once Berkeley got 18s, Corrimal got 18s, that then starts to really improve the health of senior clubs, and that's what we need to work towards. And the big question about the survival of a senior club, two senior clubs side by side, I just don't know what the answers are. Maybe the answer is that one plays over the border, one doesn't. But that's something we've got to address with those clubs in the coming years. But we've also got to consider what we've got at the moment, retaining what we've got, building the strength, getting it back to where we want to, but at the same time trying to balance the viability of clubs that are affected by these close geographical situations.
You reckon any Group 7 club will come knocking on the door again like we've seen with Shellharbour the other year?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what, maybe Shellharbour got really burnt when they were up here. I don't know. They seem to, it was about the time I came in after that happened, Berkeley I think had sort of blindsided the league a little bit. They were, from what I saw in the media, they were okay, they're okay, then no, we're not okay, we're out. And I think Shellharbour's exit was almost equally as quick. Now I think the league went from 8 teams to 16 in a blink, and then everyone went, "Oh, geez, we're in a lot of trouble." And it could appear that way. I think Shellharbour think they're happy down there, but again, maybe the dynamic changes when the merger comes in, and I think part of the answer is probably the proof in the pudding of what we're doing. If this is seen to not only internally amongst all us, just to be seen to be a good thing, the player payments cap and the club sustainability program, but if our neighbours see it, because rugby league players talk like old women, they all know each other, these guys down the coast, and they talk and they'll get to understand that, it's a reality and this is what the clubs are spending and the cap is working, then that probably gives a club, if it was like a Shellharbour or anyone else down that way, if they were wanting to come and join this competition, that would give them some comfort, I think, in doing it.
Probably also that Cronulla comp as well. Some of the teams up there, like your Engadine Dragons and Dealer, they've got a bit of backing behind them and seem to go well each year. They wouldn't look out of place down here if now this season that cap's in place and everything looks a little bit more fair on paper.
Yeah, well, as I said, there's been a couple of people I've spoken to recently. One
not letting much out, is he?
It'd be wrong of
It'd
be wrong of
Can't
me
even unlock it.
to quote
Changes.
clubs or people, but there was
Yeah.
a conversation I've had that someone that's with a group that have shown some interest the last 18 months, and because we're doing what we're doing and addressing our own problems and getting it right, it does carry some weight with people. So it may well be the hook, line and sinker that lures a big fish, which is what we want.
Before we let you go, the beer baron.
I know nothing about it. This is Mitch Jennings doing.
He picks on me too.
He picks on everyone.
And he's good with a nickname. He come up. The Gladiator was
Last week.
Who's that for? Gal. Yeah, Gladiator. We've had the European statue. And he's come up with the beer baron for you.
You'd swear he was Brad Pitt, wouldn't you?
I nominate him for that dancing thing at Win TV for next year, Mitch Jennings. He's got a body of a dancer. Anyway, thanks for coming in, Chris.
No
and,
problem, no problem.
Having a chat to us. It was really good of you.
That's
Thanks,
all right,
mate.
mate. That's great what you're doing. I mean, this technology allows us to do all this stuff. I mean, we can put idiots like him and Mitch on midweek talk crap, but if you blokes get in front of a laptop and do it as well, even better. But I mean,
And
there's
they
only
got
room for so many ugly
I've
heads.
seen
on
a
one of these.
Tigers TV too. They've got something
That's
up there.
sensational.
That
Doing a
they've
great
done
job. Yeah, and it's terrific clubs that, like I said, simple technology allows you to do it, but a few people with a little bit of nous, and I think it's terrific some of the stuff they've been doing. So you never know. Maybe you can walk the streets with your laptop and start interviewing people. Like a Vox
iPhone.
Pop, something like that.
iPhone.
iPhone.
A couple of big ideas coming.
Oh,
Season 29.
Keep your powder dry on those ones.
We'll let you in on them later.
When you let go of your vault,
Yeah,
we'll
that's
let you
it.
know what's going with ours.
Thanks for coming and having a chat to us, mate.
No
Really
problem,
appreciate
mate.
it.
Thanks, boys.
There you've heard from the Beer Baron, so we thank him for coming along and
The vault.
Vault now. Yes, wouldn't give us too much, but thanks for coming in, Chris. Appreciate it. Johnny, round 5, I think it was. Thirroul v West.
Yeah, they copped their first loss of the year, didn't they? In regular season, they come up against a very red hot Western Suburbs side who just came to Gibson Park absolutely on song. Look, they just got outplayed, I think, on Saturday.
Defensively, definitely.
Definitely, yeah. They were just not up to their peak of what we've seen the last few weeks. So just might be a bit of a reality check too. The Butchers boys, they've been high flying at the moment, but they West, to all their credit, played very, very well. Look, they probably missed Jono a little bit in the middle.
Yeah.
I really look, if Jono was still in that side and know how much of a leader he is and how much of a good player that the skipper is, I still tend to think that West might have got over the top of Thirroul. They were just that little bit too clinical. West, look, Justin Rodriguez had an absolute blinder for them. Jake Walsh, sent for 10. Mick Morris got put on report, so a couple of issues there for the Butchers. But look, yeah, West were just too good on the day.
Yeah, I didn't think that Thirroul's attack it just seemed a bit messy, and they were attacking that right hand side, and it seemed to me they had more luck going down the left hand side that day. But it's just what it is. There's another round to go, but and the discipline, 2 people in the Sydney.
Yeah, that was a bit.
Help, and
Yeah,
drop
can't help you.
balls
A lot
here
of drop
and there.
ball. Yeah, look, Walshy he's been low flying this year. He's been probably the standout halfback in the competition. And then Saturday, he just had one of his little off games there a little bit, and a bit of frustration there, getting sent for 10. But look, I think the Butchers, they'll be bigger and better for their clash in 2 weeks against Berkeley.
Yeah, and West, as you said, they were outstanding defence. What was their 1 try? Thirroul scored,
Yep.
and then Thirroul pre-camped on their line
Yeah.
for a long time, and they just held them out.
That first 10 minutes, Thirroul threw a lot at West. West defended back-to-back sets, and to West's credit, they didn't withhold the pressure and didn't let a try in early in the game. So they're looking really, really well. West, I said it for a couple of times throughout this year. They've been a little bit flying under the radar. But I tell you what, they're undefeated now and clear the top of the table. They've still got a hold of that club championships.
I like Zach Green coming on at hooker.
Yeah,
too.
he was
I think
good
we
coming on at
discussed
line.
that last week that he might come on and do that.
Yeah. I was impressed with Jack Noble for Thirroul. He was probably one of the standouts for the Butchers. I know he copped a bit of a cut to the eye and was rushed off down to Bulleye Emergency if they were
Still
open. Could have been get stitched up. So, but yeah, look, I thought he was good. He started the game. Rusco went to the bench, so I really liked that. I think Rusco coming on in the middle of the game and that he played very, very well with the minutes he had.
What about Gibson Park? I was watching the grass die in the telecast. Not that there was alive at the start with it.
Nah.
The ground's just, it's gone already. And
Yeah.
it's what, June? July? No, June.
Needs to be something done
June.
about it. And look, there was 6,000 litres of water put on it on Tuesday during the week, and it could look like it was done with another 6,000
Yeah,
Friday afternoon. So, yeah, a lot of traffic on that ground. It's something that the league and Thirroul are going to have to work out where we get a little bit less traffic on
they
there.
are looking at ways of fixing that up and whatever. But I guess it's good that there's so much participation with the juniors in the club, but we sort of need something better for the seniors. Anyway, so there's no footy this week. It's a long weekend and it's a bye for everybody. But Thirroul will play Berkeley at Berkeley Sports Ground on the 15th of June. What do you reckon, Johnny?
Oh, look,
They'll bounce back?
Yeah, definitely. They'll bounce back and they'll put a big show on down at Berkeley Sports Ground there in 2 weeks' time. just pending on that Berkeley side, we've seen Jason Gillard 2 weeks ago score 4 tries. Last week he was called up into that ISP system for the Dragons, so he was missing from Berkeley's side last weekend, and they just got beat by the Berg. So they'll be looking to bounce back as well, Berkeley, and get some points on the board. But depending on what guys come back for ISP, especially Jason Gillard, will really depend on how this Berkeley side will go. It's a plus with the Thirroul side. There's not many guys coming back from ISP. So,
I don't think there's any this year.
or Canterbury Cup, they're calling it now. But yeah, there's no one. You've only really got Hayden Lomax for the Butchers that we've seen come back from that Canterbury Cup system down into first grade. But the likes of Berkeley and Helensburgh and also Corrimal, they get a lot of guys fluctuate between Canterbury Cup and the first grade competition. It just goes to show the stability of that Butchers side. Sensational.
Yeah, Berkeley were pushing for 4th spot there too. Like their previous they got beat 42-14 last week. They won 28-14 against Dapto. They had a bye and then they got flogged 40-4 by West. Again, that 4th spot is just, it's open for anybody.
It is. I'm still declaring Corrimal to run 4th. I really think they'll hold on by the skin of their teeth and come into 4th. But a lot of good judges are sort of saying that it's going to be by for and against, and there'll be 3 teams vying for it. I think you can nearly rule out Dapto. I don't think they'll be thereabouts, so they haven't been able to break the duck egg yet. And I think Berkeley, Corrimal and Helensburgh will really vie for that 4th spot, but I just tend to feel that Corrimal, just the way the draw's set up and what the start of the season they'll have the bye at the end of the round, so they still haven't had the bye yet. So they'll get their 2 points on the end. So I just tend to feel that Corrimal, just the way the draw's set up, they might sneak into 4th over the likes of Berkeley and Helensburgh.
It's going to be tight, put it that way. So there's no footy this week. 15th of June is the next game, and it's at Berkeley Sports Ground, Thirlby, Berkeley. Club news. Congratulations to our Open Women's League tag. They defeated Collies 24-4 in the minor semi-final, I think it was, and they'll play the Bush Rangers this Thursday.
Thursday, 7 o'clock at Parish Park.
Parish Park.
Yeah.
So if you want to go and have a look at the girls, get down there. Sportsman's lunch, or it's actually an evening, is the 28th of June, and now it might be called a sportsman's lunch, but all the women, all the women are welcome as well. Johnny's emceeing it, and they've got the 2 Burgess twins, Thomas and George. Reece Jury's coming down, and the goat, Shannon Eckstein. So they'll be there. It's $80 a head. We'll put up some information in a minute. And you can contact Paul Air, Sean or Beto to get tickets, but we'll put some information up there. The newsletter, I'll put one out, or the club will put one out this week with a few more details about that as well. Old Boys Raffle, Coley, Mesa and Sharpie there this week.
Reckon you'll get all of them?
Superstar lineup. Yeah.
Sunday, long weekend as well. There should be a good crowd at the pub.
Yeah. Get down there, support the Old Boys. And one last thing that I noticed while
You've been waiting for this one, haven't you?
I have. So I was at work, I couldn't make the game, and was watching Bar TV with me mate Toddy Gross at work. And I put up this footage. Tommy Simpson, what were you doing
there?
Can you please write in or get in contact us and tell us what you were doing? It looked like you got a call from a good-looking bird and you were off, mate. You just needed to tackle that dude. Let us know.
It was Mitchy Porter, wasn't it, in the clear? And
Mitch Porter, yeah.
Tommy Simpson went to run towards him and decided to go to the sideline instead.
That's it, and he was just off down the field.
Something caught his eye. Something caught his eye.
His phone rang. Text message. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you probably in 2 weeks. It's not much next week, I don't think. So, thanks, guys, girls, whoever else is watching us. See you later.